you doing, guys? Big Mac Dansco here again today, back once again with another look at a new issue of Warhammer 40,000 Conquest. Subscribe, yay! Wow, look at this, issue 6. It's got 3 Plague Marines in. Where have we seen them before? Ooh, it was issue 2, wasn't it? But we knew these duplicates were coming for certain units. The Reavers we'll see again in the future for the Primaris Space Marines. Or Space Marines actually, because there's scouts in there as well, so they're not just Primaris. Anyway, I'm waffling on here, so yeah, you get 3 Plague Marines. Interestingly for this, they don't come in a box or anything anymore, so there's no protection around them. One little thing I've noticed on my magazine is a slight indentation there. It's not that bad really at the end of the day, but it could be that we see a few damaged magazines in the way that they're shipping them, because they just ship them in a crate of magazines to the stores. I was watching the lady unbox them, open the crate today, and yeah, that's how they ship them, just in crates with loads of magazines on top of them. But the crates are relatively small, so there's not a lot of room for them to move around and then rub. So we're not likely to see many damaged magazines, but make sure you check the magazine before you pick it up if you pick it up in the shops. And if you subscribe, then hope it gets to you in a good condition. So, Conquest issue 6. This issue, we'll talk about the value first of all, as I always seem to, although last week I forgot to talk about value till near the end of the video. So, these easy to build Poxwalkers will set you back £10 direct from Games Workshop. From a third party retailer, you get as much as 20% off, or 25% in some cases. 25% is normally when a miniature is released, and then 20% is a lot of third-party retailers when a miniature is released. So you're getting between 15 and 20% off, something like that really. So you're only looking at £8.50 for the easy-to-build Poxwalkers from a third-party retailer, £8 to £8.50. And this magazine is $7.99. Is what's in the magazine worth just picking the magazine up instead of the easy to build? Yeah, I'd say so. If you don't know much about the Death Guard, I'd say yes. There's a bit of lore in this one. So if you want to learn more about the Death Guard and more about the lore of the Death Guard and their motivations and how their Vectorums are structured, then it's definitely worth picking this up if you want to dig deep into the lore. I've said in previous videos that I'm big into the lore of the various armies that I play. They've got some really good things in here for you. So they've got Legion Command. It tells you about Mortari and the Demon Primarch of Nurgle, Lords of the Legion, Legion Command Retinue, Death Shroud, and then it goes on to tell you about Plague Companies 1 to 7. Then it gives you the same information in here as it does about the Legion overall here. Moving on to the next page, it then tells you about the breakdown of a Plague Company into Sepsis cohorts. So there's 7 Sepsis cohorts. And then there's also Maledictums and Colony Organisation. I won't go into too much detail about that because you can read it yourself when you pick up the issue. It also gives you a cool little colour schemes here on that previous page. Lord Gulgoth is in Terminator armour. And then the Tainted Sons Plague Marines are the Plague Company, or no, they're the Vectorum that this is focusing on. Yeah, so it's nice little first few pages. This is the Vectorum named the Tainted Sons. The base of operations are Scourge Stars, Commander Lord Gulgoth the Afflictor. Notable engagements: the Plague Wars, Invasion of Ultramar, and the Scourge Stars. And then it tells you about the specialisms: Trench Warfare, Siege and Line Breaking, Corrupted, Scorched Earth. And the motto is, "All will rot." Yes, there we go. My amazing acting skills put to good use again. But then it goes on to give us more information and more colour schemes, sort of, what do they call them? Is it colour tablets? I can't think what they call them. It's got a few more there as well. So it gives you a few more colour schemes that you might want to do instead of the ones that they show you how to do here. Which brings us handily on to the painting guide. It gives you the assembly guide again. And it's the same, apart from they've changed the names at the bottom from whatever names they gave them to Plague Champion, Plague Marine 1 and Plague Marine 2. So they've got on board creating names for these Plague Marines. it tells us now that we've got 5 paints and we can use them to paint them like this. Well, hey, but it's all images we've seen in previous issues. This, so it's quite interesting that they just basically put that into one issue to give you a nice, easy paint scheme for your Plague Marines, so you're not skipping from issue to issue for the different colours and where to put the different colours. And then it's onto the gaming section. In this issue, we're talking about gaming with 2 squads of Plague Marines. So it's interesting that they've not gone to one big squad of Plague Marines with 6 Marines in it, but they've gone to 2 squads of Plague Marines of 3 Marines. I was struggling with the maths there. And 1 squad of Poxwalkers. In the scenario in this issue, skipping ahead slightly, in the scenario in this issue, they want you, the Poxwalkers are quite pivotal because they want you to end a turn, a movement phase, with a Poxwalker on the Space Marines deployment zone, on one of the circles of deployment for the Space Marines, and then the Death Guard will win the game, and the aim of the game for the Space Marines is to eliminate all the Poxwalkers. So they're quite pivotal, despite the fact that we get another unit of Plague Marines in this. I think it's trying to encourage you to play tactically, you know, to sacrifice your Plague Marines to protect the Poxwalkers and help them get across the battlefield, which is really it's quite an interesting thing that they're sort of encouraging you to think outside the box and think of the objective as a whole and not just wipe out your opponent. Let's go back to the first page here. So it tells you what you'll need for this scenario as well. And then over the course of the next few pages, it just gives you a reminder of the rules you've learned already. It goes into more detail about unit coherency, and then the next page talks about the shooting phase, and it talks about, oh, interestingly here, I've gone the other way for once. So interestingly here, it talks about how you can shoot a model that you can't see. In 8th edition 40k, you can shoot a model you can't see, you can hit a model you can't see. And I'll talk you through this scenario in the picture forms that they've given. So Max shoots with his Plague Marines at the intercessors. He rolls to hit and to wound for the plasma gun first, causing a wound to an intercessor. Max then rolls to hit and wound for his Plague Marines Blight Launcher, inflicting enough damage to remove the wounded intercessor from play. And then this Marine here, try and keep the light off that, this Marine here is then hidden by the container, and the last Plague Marine to shoot is this guy here. He can't see him directly, but because for wargaming it's easier if you think of it as the rules have to sometimes be abstract to make the game a bit better, a bit more playable. So in this case, although he can't see him, he's considered to have actually shot at the same time as these other guys. You're just rolling at different times so you don't get confused about what weapons you're shooting. So he can still then shoot and hit him even though he's not seen him. In theory, he's actually shooting and hitting the guy that was sticking further out that he could see, and the other 2 guys could then shoot at the one that's hidden from view of the Plague Marine with the bolt gun. I think you might get what I was saying there, but if not, don't worry about it. Just read it for yourself in the issue and you'll understand it. It explains it a bit better than I do. But yeah, it's sort of hinting at the more abstract nature of wargaming, which I like. It's it's drip feeding you these rules again, which I really liked in the last issue. Then it talks about splitting fire, so you can split fire, and the Space Marines here are shooting at one unit there and then another unit there. So they're splitting the fire between 2 different units. And then it talks about the charge phase, and it talks about multiple charges. So you can charge multiple units as long as they're within reach and you remain within unit coherency, basically. It talks you through that and how to do it, which is, again, it's good. It's drip feeding you these rules bit by bit. It's making the game slightly more complicated layer by layer, which you don't want to have these rules thrown at you. If you're completely new to wargaming, the last thing you'd want, I think, is to have these rules just thrown at you and then someone tell you, right, read through all those rules. I remember when I was younger, when I was first getting into wargaming, when I was around 12, I would pick up the rule book, read a little bit of it, and then put it down, and then I'd have to read it again and again. I couldn't concentrate for long enough to read the actual rules of the game, so I just let my mate tell me what to do, and I rolled some dice and moved some things. I still do that from time to time now, to be truthful, but I can actually read the rule book for longer than a couple of seconds or a couple of minutes at a time. So I'm a bit better at it now, but when I was younger I was awful at it. Not the game, I'm amazing. No, I'm not amazing at the game. I don't play enough to consider myself amazing at the game, but I feel like I could film a battle report and it'd be semi okay now if I wanted to. Although filming a battle report's another thing altogether. Anyway, let's get back to the magazine, shall we? Then it talks about units in the fight phase. It talks about who they can attack and consolidation. It's just reiterating those rules that we've learned in previous issues. And then it goes on to the scenario that I mentioned earlier. Turning the page, it then talks about open the arsenal. So rapid fire bolt guns, so you can shoot twice with a Plague Marine bolt gun now if you're within 12 inches. The plasma gun can shoot twice if you're within 12 inches, and it wounds on a 2+, and a 1 to hit explodes. Plasma guns, what's the point in them? And then the Blight Launcher, which is a really good weapon, I think, for the Death Guard. You get 2 shots with it, and the enemy saves on a 5+. I feel like in the expanded game of Warhammer 40,000, rather than just the rules we're getting in Conquest, I feel like the Blight Launcher might be a 5+. Might be a strength 5 weapon. So that'd mean, translating into this, you're actually wounding on a 3+ against Primaris rather than on a 4+. But there's nothing to say here what you actually roll to wound for the Blight Launcher, so I'd assume it wounds the same as a bolt gun, which is 4+ in here. But I might be wrong about that. And then the final page, subscribe, yay! So it's just the subscribe guidance, talks about the going into Games Workshop or Warhammer stores, talks about the Warhammer community site and exploration, look at the Facebook page and stuff like that. And then there's this, this is the back page which previews the following issue. So next week's issue is going to be some washes in there. If you've not already seen my video, check it out here. It's a preview of what's on here. So the next issue is washes, and the following issue is going to be the Primaris Librarian. That issue is going to be great value as long as they keep both sprues in one issue, and I think that's what they are doing. This implies it here. It says Space Marine Librarian model. It doesn't say half a Space Marine Librarian model, so I assume it's all going to be in one issue. There we go. That's that for you. Next week, I don't think I'll have issue 7 in time. I got this from the shop today. I'm still waiting on my delivery from Hatchet Partworks. However, I got a note through my door from the postman today saying there's a package for me that doesn't fit through the letterbox. I'm assuming it's my first delivery of Conquest. Yeah, next week I won't have issue 7 for you. The following week I won't have issue 8 for you either, because they're not dispatching issue 8 until the 22nd of October, which is actually after the issue release date. Hopefully though, by the time issue 9 comes out, I'll be able to film something for you that week. So next week, check back if you want an update on my Plague Marines and Poxwalkers, and maybe another update the following week or something related to Conquest. Maybe I'll preview based on preview future issues based on what I've seen on the Warhammer TV Conquest videos, something along those lines. Stay tuned for more. Make sure you check out playlists and stuff that I've got, and I'll see you on the battlefield.